Hi, folks. Meteorologist Tom Convigo again with you for today. More severe weather, yet another day, yet another storm complex. We've got it working mainly in the northern portions of the area where a severe thunderstorm warning is up here for looks like portions of Sabine and Natchitoches parishes until 2 o'clock. There's a wind threat in that area, wind gust of about 40 to 60 miles per hour, which in these cases, as saturated as the soil is, plus the fact that last year's drought killed a lot of trees or a fair number of trees, and then the pine beetle got in some of the pines, and that's all making the trees weaker than they might typically be for this time of year. And you add to that the saturated soils in this area, and so therefore you have a situation where downing tree damage is going to be more common with less wind now than what we're typically used to. So this was a borderline warning. The National Weather Service and Shreveport forecast was indicating that. So we'll go with a 40 to 60 mile per hour wind in this warned area. Let me put this in motion for you just a second so you can kind of get a feel for how things are moving. We have a lot of scattered shower and thunderstorm activity out ahead of that. So that is kind of adding fuel to the fire as far as the rainfall is concerned. Once this main band gets through the Promise Hall, Natchitoches area into Wynn Parish, into Grant Parish, where there's already been significant rain out of two batches of convection today. Remember the one during the wee hours of the morning, well after midnight, and then you got this one. Then you got this third one coming later on. So that addresses a potential flood risk here across the area. And I think Shreveport also has some flood warnings out or flash flood watches out for some of that area as well. So this is a wind threat. Let me go ahead and stop this, and we'll see who's in this wind threat and who is not. Going into Sabine Parish, it looks like Negrete is in the warning. Manny, you're under the severe thunderstorm warning. Alliance community out on mid Toledo Bend, mid part of Toledo Bend is in the warned area for the severe weather. Noble is in the warning. Belmont going into Marthaville for Jessup, Fisher, down to Fisher, Gandy, Florine. Looks like we've got the Des to the east to go to Peason. And then Bellwood back in Natchitoches Parish, Vowels Mill in southwest Natchitoches, Roebling, Hagewood, Coldwater, Provençal in the warned area. Natchitoches, you're in it. Going to the north, we've got Campty and Clarence all the way up to Creston, Allen, Powhatan, and the severe thunderstorm warning as well. And then coming down into the southern part of Natchitoches Parish, even down to Mink, Mora, Gorham, Chopin, we got Clutcheville, Lakeview, Cypress, and looks like up to Natchez and Bermuda. So again, that gives you an idea of who's affected by this particular warning. That is, again, a severe thunderstorm warning for the potential for high wind in the area. Let's see, what is this? This is something new here. This is a severe thunderstorm until 2:30. Lake Charles got in the business here for a severe thunderstorm warning. I got to check chat and see exactly kind of what that's about here. Let's see, because that was unexpected, and so yeah, they're going with a severe thunderstorm warning for Vernon and Rapides Parish. I didn't see the Rapides on the notification here. It just has Vernon Parish there, so it is including Rapides. The graphic is correct. So that includes the northern eastern part of Vernon Parish and kind of the western, northwestern part of Rapides Parish. A little bit of hail is possible with that, as well as the potential for some strong wind as well in that particular area. All right, let's go take a look at some of the details as to who's affected by this second warning here. Let's start in Rapides Parish, where we see Boyce in the warned area, go down toward the Heinston. Looks like the Otis and the Seaper communities are there, as well as areas just to the west of Alexandria on the west side, out toward the airport, going in toward the Timber Trails there in that area. And then to the west of Timber Trails, we got Galena, we got looks like Flatwoods. We've got also the Sharp community in that warned area, Choctaw, Clifton area. Now let's go into Vernon Parish, where we've got Simpson, Hicks, LeCamp, going all the way down south of the camp into almost the Fullerton area. This includes portions of the Fort Polk area, Fort Johnson area, just to the east of there. Slagle is in the warning area, as well as north of Fort Johnson there. And then going into Leesville, barely in the warning, but you're in it. Going out to the west on Highway 8, a standard there. Anacoco up Highway 171, as well as Hornbeck in the warned area, and then some of those rural areas out Monk's Hammock, for example, out west of Anacoco toward Haddons. So that area in the warning also for the potential for some wind and a little bit of hail out of the storm. All right, you see the outflow boundary right there. We'll put this into motion, and you can see that outflow boundary taking shape, kind of surging through that area. So Lake Charles out of a caution issued the warning for that part of Vernon and that part of Rapides Parish that you see outlined right there. So otherwise, again, we see a developing flash flood situation. There's already a flash flood warning for part of this same area of Sabine Parish there for rain that's already been heavy so far across the area. And let me see if I can get some rainfall amounts there and kind of query that for you. Let's see. So 3-hour rainfall totals. Let's go in the area where the warnings are, and we will see some significant totals there. Just to the south of Zwolle, we're looking at over 1 inch there, going to 1.5 inches to the area toward the mid-Toledo Bend, and then heading northward from there, we'll go in toward Pleasant Hill, where we see like rainfall amounts. Now, this is falling pretty heavy. You have to remember, oh, well, that's not heavy for Louisiana, but remember all the rain that has occurred before that. So that lowers the threshold for the occurrence of flash flooding there. And look at maybe even some of the locations on upper Toledo Bend there, approaching 1 inch to 1.5 inches in that direction. Over toward Natchitoches area, it looks like we've got 1.5 inches or so there. And again, heading to the south, and this is, of course, expecting some of this additional rain. Over in East Texas, there's some higher totals there. Over around Montgomery, we're seeing almost 1 inch rain. East of Montgomery, over 1.5 inches, and likewise in Wind Parish, there's some locally heavy rains that have happened there with 1 inch to 1.5 inches in those locations. So again, it all doesn't matter of what is the threshold, what can the ground stand, and what can the situation stand. The rivers are up with this. The lakes are full, and so yeah, it's one of those situations where we've reversed the drought for a long time, and this is continuing to add to the situation. All right, let's go back to the radar again and show you. Again, here's the trend over the past hour, where the thunderstorms are coming in from the south. And this is actually kind of feeding instability, but we've had temperatures in the 80s down here in this particular area. We've got dew points in the 80s, in the 70s, temperatures in the 80s down here. So this is, you can see that moisture, that wind profile moving up from the south and feeding moisture and energy to these storms to the north. And so that's why we've had a temporary increase in intensity, and that was expected. And this is going to feed additional moisture. So it would not surprise me to see perhaps a severe thunderstorm warning extended into other portions of Vernon or Rapides Parish, or more portions of Natchitoches Parish included, and maybe even going into Grant and Wind Parish. And it's not out of the question we would see some flash flood warnings in those locations as well. So that's kind of a wrap for you. Don't want to go too long with you, but I did want to outline those warnings and some potential as to what to expect for the remainder of the day. So it's not over yet. Again, yet another day, yet another storm complex. All right, we'll see you live if there's any additional warnings. Otherwise, take care, stay indoors, and don't travel in these warned areas unless you just have to. But it will probably be happening in other parishes south and east where it is now later on in the day. All right, thanks for listening, and thanks for your support for Cenla Weather, and